Desi Retail channel. Today we have Prashant Bhatia with us, who is young, dynamic and third generation entrepreneur carrying the legacy of 61 years with him. He is the CEO of Cambridge Apparels, which is a well-known brand for men's apparel. Customer service and quality products are the core strength of the company from very beginning, and Prashant has been instrumental in preserving and enhancing these core values. Let's know more from him about the journey of Cambridge Apparel, its origin, its start and its own journey as an entrepreneur and a retailer. Hi Prashant.
Hi Niyati.
Thank you so much
Pleasure.
for being here. The purpose of the channel is to share amazing journey by the retailers. You're the third generation retailer.
That's right.
How does it make you feel?
It's a privilege, I'll say, to be on this chair, to be heading this, magnificent legacy, because Cambridge is, brand that's 60 years old, 61 technically this year, and this is only the second brand in the country behind Raymond's. Raymond's is about 95, 96 years old.
Yes.
Cambridge comes in the second spot at 61 years of age technically as a brand, and no other brand, I'll proudly say, has survived this long a period in the market.
Awesome. That's so great. So Prashant, what I would like to ask you is, do you have any recollection of how this was started? The exact journey, what inspired your grandfather to start this? Could you share a bit about the origin and the start of this journey?
Sure. It's in fact a very thrilling journey. It's almost the journeys that we hear nowadays of the greats like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and all of those people who probably did not even belong in the industries where they mastered their crafts in. So my grandfather he moved to India after the partition that happened, along with the entire family, which was my father and his other siblings. He worked as an accountant from 1955 through 60 in a shirt making company.
Okay.
And therein he learned all the I won't say the secrets, but he learned the ins and outs of the industry.
Tricks of the trade.
Tricks of the trade. So, he had the accountant's brain. So, that's basically what really helped him do the math exactly. So, at that point of time, that particular company was into premium shirts. And at that time in the market, it was only shirts that were available in the ready-to-wear segment. Trousers were unheard of. People were still tailoring those. So he learned the ins and outs of the trade. He understood where the raw material came from, what kind of workmanship was required. And then he thought to himself that why should I be charging the premium? I want to serve a larger base of customers. I want to make this affordable. So therein came the founding philosophy, which we still live with. So he started procuring raw material from all the surplus stock lot dealers. So I still hear stories from my father that we would buy 2 different cut pieces, put together that and stitch a shirt so that we would save on so much amount of money. And the way they would promote it at the time, they would actually say it is basically what today's retailers say. He said it back then in 1960 or in the initial phase of retailing of Cambridge, is that buy from us at wholesaler prices.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so you can imagine the brain that was at play.
I know, you're such a far-sighted person.
Yes. So that basically, and he did another very adventurous, or rather he made a very adventurous move. He started operating the first retail outlet was on the 3rd floor of a building.
Oh.
At that point of time, whoever was in the trade said, "You're a fool. Who's gonna walk up to the 3rd floor of a building to buy ready-made apparels from you when all of us are down here?"
Right.
He said, "It's okay, I'm happy. And people will come." And that's exactly what happened. People came because of the quality that was offered, the sheer variety that he was offering at the time, and the price that he was charging. So that was basically the first store. With that success came in the second store that was in Colaba. The second store came about in Andheri. So people would come to the city. They would generally ask retailers. They would ask other retailers like, "Hey, what's a good brand to go?" That's exactly how I remember my father said that. Retailers would come to our store they would buy it from us at retail prices, mark it up by a few percentage points, and go back to their hometowns and still resell it. And they were still able to make money. So if they bought it at my retail store for 100 and they managed to sell it for 130, that means the actual price of the product was 130. And we were still selling it at 100. So from there, this whole idea of distribution also came up. And these are early 80s, I'm saying. So then they thought that, why don't we start selling it at a bulk, in bulk quantities, reduce the prices fractionally. And that's when we started wholesaling from the retail outlets themselves. So the wholesale business also started from there. Then came in a point wherein we were approached by retailers in the city of Mumbai saying that we want to stock your product in our stores as well.
Brilliant. What time gap would that be? Around 80s? 90s?
Again, 80s. It was the late 80s. It was that period of the late 80s. And now if I see, I said, we were of, the family, or, my grandfather, my father at that point of time, they were probably the pioneers in this whole franchising concept. We have stores that are, if I'm not mistaken, they're 35 years old. So we're looking at, 1995, and probably around that time, the first few outlets of Cambridge opened in the city in the early 90s. And the retailers came, they had the experience with the brand, they sold for a few, limited number of months with limited product, with limited shelf space. And then they realized that what if we convert this whole space into a Cambridge store, the way the company has done it at, Andheri and the Colaba outlets. So that's how we got our first, few franchisees based out of Ghatkopar, Dadar and these areas. So that began our journey as a brand. So that is basically the journey that got us from being only retailers out of 2 stores to a brand that actually started franchising across the city. And then we moved into the neighboring states of Maharashtra as well. And that's when, the word started spreading out. And right before that, because of the popularity of the brand in the southern states, we all know that, a lot of our people, a lot of our Indian community is based out of the Gulf countries and other parts of the world as well. So we had Indian retailers from these Gulf countries come to us saying, hey, we've heard a lot about your brand. A lot of people talk about it here. They are wearing those shirts in the offices that those guys were working in at. And they said, we bought this from Cambridge. So my father would visit, these Gulf countries for bookings. So that's where we step into the international markets as well.
So that is B2B or?
That was a B2B concept completely. So they were resellers because we wouldn't be able to open stores directly. We didn't have the bandwidth to do it.
So selling in the name of Cambridge or OEM? For the
no. It was purely Cambridge. The OEM concepts came in much later into this market. Once the markets got organized, it's only after that all of these, private label manufacturing and everything came in. With the Gulf countries, it was still more of, these retailers like they are present in, a country like India. So there are a lot of mixed brand outlets. We were fortunate to join hands with a chain of store that today has about 25 outlets across the GCC countries. And they really pushed the brand. They bought anything and everything that we had to make. I remember I was also part of this whole story from the early 2000 period. So that began our journey into the exports market as well, and it continues till date.
Awesome. So you're a brand who have set standards. Even after serving your customers with modest prices, you have managed to grow. That's a great example for all the retailers out who think what's in for me, but here you've been thinking what's in for the customer.
Correct.
I remember, I'm very honest, I loved your Andheri store. I think my college days growing up for almost a decade and a half or 2 maybe, I have bought a lot of stuff from your stores and I would swear by your store.
Right.
Like, neighbors, Andheri station pe mil Cambridge jata hai.
Sure.
That's like a conversation I've had with my brother and my friends and stuff like that.
Right.
Very interestingly, Prashant, I'm glad you touched upon franchising because if you have started franchising way early, there is a whole different set of structures and issues that come into play when you are working with franchisees.
Of course.
Right? And I think certain years back, the franchisees were of a different mindset. They were the old school type. They would stand at the side and get, every nail and, every
True.
peg done by them, oversee everything. And as franchising business also evolved with a lot of markets opening up and international exposure, the mindset of the franchisee also have changed, right? What do you see is the most challenging thing when you're dealing with franchisee as a brand? Because they have to be aligned with your vision, right?
True.
So how do you get, so isn't it challenging? You have to get them to buy in into your vision, your brand, your journey. So how are you dealing with it? What is your experience?
I'll present a very unconventional view to this whole thing. We are a very typically Indian family run kind of a business, a brand. I still remember the Andheri store that you talk about. I remember college years, we compulsorily had to, there were 3 of us in the third generation, we compulsorily had to go to the stores. So we were assigned the job of standing next to the cash tills and ensuring that once the bills were made, the goods were packed. So we have done that. I mean, I can tell for myself and from other family members, we have done that amount of packaging bit also. So the energy that the retailers have also seen in our stores, because see, any franchisee who wants to become a part of your vision or your story will come and at least see what is your space like.
Exactly.
What is your space like? I mean, it's a simple thing. If you want to buy a house, you go and at least see the house before buying the house. So here, and our concept was different. We did not play by the industry run standards of if it sells, it's yours. If it doesn't, it's mine. So we never worked on this goods on consignment or sale or return or all of those kind of popular models that retail created later.
Okay.
We said, this is the merchandise. This is the size of the store. Pick what you want based on the area that you're serving.
Oh, brilliant. So you gave them a lot of flexibility on
We still offer the largest flexibility any brand in the country does. So they bought not only into the vision, they are actually buying into the products as well.
Yeah.
And then they ensure they sell it with the same effort and the energy that we sell it back in our stores. So that's basically the difference between the modern day retailer and what the people who became partners with us back then.
So to interpret it, I would say that you had the franchisee buying into your idea.
Correct.
You were giving lot of flexibility. You were using their talent in the area that they are and their expertise about understanding that particular micro customer segment where they were.
True.
Right? And that is where the partnership flourished.
Yes.
Then what happened is it became transactional.
Correct.
Right? Purely.
Yeah.
Ki itne lakh dalenge to this is what we are expecting,
Exactly.
And then the charm of, getting the pulse of the market. So franchisee, and that's the misconception. I think you've given a brilliant example. A franchisee in extension of the branch. It's the eyes and ears on the ground,
Correct.
right, of the brand. So you're not only investing money, you're also investing your expertise and taking a product to the next level so that you earn some money.
True.
Right?
True.
So correct. So that's great example, Prashant. I'm sure rest of the franchisee looking out for new ventures, they would definitely select your brand as something unique. Now I'm going to come to you with a question which which is like the love of what I do every day is store design.
Right.
Your priority would be product that you're
Right.
giving, the customer service and other things that you would do. But the market is evolving and you are now judged by the customer,
Correct.
by the looks of the store as well.
Correct.
Right? But the generation now, the value segment generation that is coming in now is going to be younger.
Right.
And they're going to have a different point of view towards the store because it's now easy to order online.
Correct.
Right? They're not looking to get attached to any brand.
Correct.
But truly, there is something substantial in a brick and mortar store that makes the connect with the customer. Where do you see this interiors as part of where your journey would be? What is your personal strategy for the brand?
So, we've actually always been a brand that is focused on the product. Well, I mean, you do need a decent store offering.
Yes.
So our retailers did do that. So, and in the initial years of franchising, there was no such concept or other, even a store design per se was very unique to each store. You had those typical designers who would create a one store wonder that, somebody else would come and say, okay, I like this element from here, I like this element from here, and this element from another store, so I'll make my store look like this.
Yeah.
So there was nothing unique about a store. Today, the concept is different. Today, each store stands for something, each brand stands for something. So we focused only on the product offering. We said lighting is very critical. Now if you're talking about really critical retail elements, so we said lighting is critical. Ensuring that the product is very beautifully displayed is critical. You need to stock adequately, that is very critical.
Yes.
And you need to provide the best service to the customer. These were practically the 3 or 4 most important things that existed in retail. Today it's all about experience.
Yeah.
So we are also, and I will not deny it, we still are struggling to convince our retailers to evolve. They are completely anti-spending, and these COVID times, pandemic times have not made things easy for any retailer, for anybody. Because a person who has invested so much money into a store, suddenly ask him to break something, change something, so it's not really easy. Stores that were done up earlier, we are having a tough time converting them. But the guys who are becoming part of the family now, we are already ensuring that they follow certain norms, they follow certain guidelines as far as the store design is concerned. So Cambridge has always been a brand that customers enjoyed the service, and that's why the loyalties were very, very, very strong. That you enter a store and somebody greets you by your first name or your last name, and you're like, oh, you know what, this person remembers me. And you literally feel like the customer is the king or the queen, whatever they call it. Despite the fact that we have the convenience of shopping at home, 2 months of last year, 2 months of this year has proved how critical brick and mortar is to people's sensibilities, to people's to lives. And I'm seeing it inside my house. People are waiting to get out, go to a store, literally breathe all of the air that exists inside a store. They want to go there, they want to experience. They just want to be out.
So I'm going to sum this up by saying that the message is, have your brick and mortar stores are not going anywhere, they're going to be there.
Oh, absolutely.
But the fact is that after some time you're going to have to give them something special for the customer along with your product and your service to be able to retain customers and make more customers.
Of course, that little bit of touch up. See, the way we do up our houses every 10 years
you're going to have to progress.
Every 2 years we do a fresh coat of paint, we change the lights as in when they're fixed, but unfortunately retail is not treated that way. Retail stores don't get that kind of treatment that we sitting over here as brand heads would want our retailers to do. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but yes, people are realizing, people are learning. It's very critical. Why do you think D2C brands, direct to consumer brands who came only into the online space have started creating experience centers?
Exactly.
Why do you think it's so critical? Because see, that connection is absolutely important. Online, everything looks the same. You're looking at the same black screen, white screen, this template and that template. But when you are in a store, why do you think? Why do the younger generation enjoy to walk into a high fashion store? It's a different look and feel. It's a different world. So I think brick and mortar will remain critical because it's where the identity of the retail outlet matches or not matches with the identity of the customer.
I would put it, brick and mortar stores is your online avatar, like a physical avatar, which is now extended through your store design and your service with the customer.
Of course.
Right? So it's personified.
Correct.
Brands are personified when you make it into a brick and mortar store. Great. Coming back to where the entire legacy comes. You were, looks like now from your story that you always groomed for this role. Was it a lot of time the second generation or leave alone the third, the second generation is not willing to support the retailer,
Right.
right? So while the parents work very hard to get them educated, take them to the next level, but somewhere they're not inspired or it's looked down upon. So any words of advice, what went through your mind, what your challenges were, or you felt like being a rebel at some time? Was it like that?
So there are multiple angles, to this whole interesting, point that you just threw open. I remember my dad taking me to the Glover store. Me sitting, right with him, like literally right besides him. He's at the cash till, ensuring that he's communicating with the customer when the customer comes to pay up finally. Was everything okay? And I see him on the shop floor interacting with the salespeople, trying to push a product. If a salesperson is not able to fulfill the requirement of the customer properly. So I saw all of those things. I remember the rush periods at the stores, and I would literally, tell him that it's so tough, it's so tiring. He's like, no, this is fun. So that's where I understood that, this looks like fun to him, but this doesn't look like fun to me. I'm like, my friends are playing there back there in the building, and I'm here with him in my retail outlet. So that was basically our initial grooming, as they say. They were grooming us for retail. So, typically what then happened is, I went through schooling, I went through colleging with the mindset that, I have to take this business up. I kept hearing this at home, and, that, oh, you have to do this, oh, you have to do this. And I think it's human psychology at the end of the day, that the more you ask to do something, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Then I started looking for loopholes to get out. So fortunately, I had an option of pursuing an undergrad degree again.
Okay.
So I said, if I do an undergrad, probably do 3 semesters is what I checked it was. 3 semesters of
you would have got the credit.
I would have, transferred credits from here. I would have gotten my undergrad, and I would have qualified for an MBA. So I did try to use that as an escape stone. So I did my graduation, and during that period, I picked up internships. Since I was from the marketing background, I specifically asked for a retail internship.
Okay.
I did my internship over the summer period with a chain of a family-run chain of stores by the name of Belk.
Okay.
So during that internship, I got exposed to various aspects of the retail business. And right in my graduating year, we were lucky enough to do a program in marketing. Basically, it was run by a consultancy company for General Motors.
Okay.
The sale of Chevrolet as a brand was reducing in the college community. So they decided to do a nationwide competition, bring in schools and bring in colleges, find out what's the real reason, and see if anything can be done to improve.
So like
that.
A fresh perspective on things.
Yeah. So out of about 250, 300 odd marketing major students, I got lucky to be picked in that 20 group of 20. They got me, I don't know for what reason, they thought I was too smart or Indian, probably that's why they put me as an officer second in rank in that entire program. So we did like a pre-event survey that what was wrong with Chevrolet as a brand. So we did that pre-event study. Then we brought in the car from the local dealership. We brought in all models of Chevrolet. Let students interact with that.
So like on ground.
Let students at least tell us what is wrong with these cars. So those learnings were fantastic for us. Those were fantastic learnings, and post the event, the entire imagery of Chevrolet cars changed. So these guys were very happy. And the guy who represented or was heading that particular consultancy company, he pulled me to the side, said, when do you graduate? I said, December 99. He says, do you have a job? I says, no. I said, no. So he says, would you like to come and work with us? And I'm like, is he talking to me? I'm like, why me? He said, no, we like the kind of work you've done. We've seen you work in this entire group. And I was all excited, and I said all of this to my dad. He didn't really say much at that time, and later on he went on to say that we've taken a tough decision here in the business, and we need you to be here. So I tried to fight my way with it, but then I realized that it was not really the right thing to do, and that's when I was actually in a way forced to come back to India. So to answer your question of why this resistance, but because I think every individual wants to pursue something that he or she feels they are cut out for. And it's like they say, the earlier you are exposed to something, the better you get at
you
it.
pick
So
it up.
so we picked it up. We naturally picked it up. We naturally picked up, selling. We naturally picked up selling, standing behind the counters on the retail stores, packaging, making vouchers, making cash memos, handwritten cash memos, collecting cash, stamping those vouchers over there, saying thank you sir, thank you madam. So that's something that we were brought up with, and that's basically what I'm ultimately doing over here. So, but there was an initial struggle. I felt, I will not deny it, my father and my wife also, because I got married really early at that time. I remember she also saw the struggle, my father saw the struggle, my mother saw the struggle, that I was probably trying to make an attempt not to fit in over here. That maybe some other door opens up and I can go back there.
So maybe I think this is such a brilliant learning for all the retailers who wanting to get their family plugged in and think. It's not about forcing, it's about finding your why in the business that you are in. And I think if any second generation retailer should step in and say how it goes with an open mind. And it's a great thing if parents are not forcing them, like you said.
True. Yeah.
I think it's a great idea to fly out of the nest, try some things and come back with the best learnings back to your business. So Prashant, what do you think in this entire journey has been one game changer due to market circumstances in your business?
I think the biggest game changer, I think, for not only for apparels but a lot of categories in the value segment, and I speak only for the value segment, is the advent of online. And I have my 2 cents on this, are a little different from what the rest of the country sees. According to me, why did the whole model of online business come in? Do you have any ideas? Why did it come into our lives in the first place? Convenience, maybe. That sit at home, shop from the comfort of your home. Convenience would be the first thing that would pop into your head, right? So that's basically why the Western world got online business. The whole model of online business in place.
Yeah.
India started on a wrong foot, I think. Why? What we said when we started online is online hai to sasta hai. I think that is the biggest flaw of the model that we run. So tell me how many distribution-based models, and I'm sure you have seen for yourself, you work with various segments in the industry, which distribution-based model in the country that is in the value segment has been able to serve a customer online by offering these discounts. To my knowledge, is zero. Because end of the day, these guys are only into the valuation game. The guys who are actually giving us these discounts today, the Amazons and the Flipkarts and the Mintras of the world, I have nothing against them. They're doing great. They have provided a great platform for the customer, in the cornermost regions of the country where organized retail or any retail could not reach. But the only question that I ask is so much of discounting sustainable? It's not like a product like a diamond, wherein on the cut and the clarity and the color, your prices differ.
Yeah.
If I look at my category, a blue shirt made out of an Oxford fabric in 100% cotton is going to cost the same across. But then how are you selling it so cheap? Obviously, it's going out of somebody's pocket.
Exactly.
So that's where the number games come in, and I think that's what has hurt a lot of people in our industry that have a distribution model in place, because there already exists an intermediary who is reselling your product further. I am not interacting with the customer directly. Had I been the brand that was dealing with the customer directly, that I was in the early part of the business, then I would not mind, or I would not even complain about this price war that is happening right now in the market.
So, I have a slightly different point of view on this. So there are 2 things. One is online. Okay, selling things online. What online has done for us is that first there was fear in everybody's mind that our local shop, neighborhood shop would go away.
True.
And things like that. So there's a lot of fear in everybody's mind.
True.
Now, the way I see it is online selling will have its own merits, right? I can sit here and order something from some vendor in Kerala,
True.
whom I wouldn't have access. So, and because of these players coming in, our distribution system, logistics system, and a lot of other things have now come in place.
Of course, as I said,
Yeah.
person in the remote most part of the country gets access to a product that is not available
Correct.
in his or her
So
areas.
I would say this system coming in wasn't supposed to take over the regular retailing.
Of course.
What hurt everybody, you say, is the discounting system
Of course.
or the selling mechanism.
Of course.
So, it's there for everybody, right? At some point, you'll have Myntra selling, you'll have everybody selling everything.
Of course.
But see, over a period of time, when the novelty wears off, right, you will buy something for convenience. And that's how
True.
Indian mindset will be.
True.
Right? Because we are a unique market. And that is why it's important to showcase that we have uniqueness and we have the ability to even have the high-end mall. Right? Everything. See, we've been emulating the West, right?
True. Right.
Right from the way they come in. So when McDonald's came in, they didn't have the special burger that making for India. No
That's
brand
true.
was.
That is
They
true.
were giving us what they were selling abroad and it didn't work.
Correct.
So the realization to the bigger brands have come that certain amount of customization is necessary for India.
True.
Similarly, the way I see it going forward is there is going to be a lot of filtering happening. Okay, even in online, when the novelty wears off of simply ordering online, how much will you order online? You want to go and try your top
Of
before
course.
you buy.
See,
right?
I come back to my point of what negative things or rather the things that this online model did to hurt. Why don't you look at the mobile phone industry? Why don't you look at the appliances industry? I think a year and a half, 2 years back, why do you think there was so much of revolt from the offline retailers when these guys were clocking in those billion rupee sale days? It shouldn't have hurt anybody, but they were underselling even the guys who were selling these television sets. And how many small stores have we seen that were affected by this?
They had to shut down.
So I am not against this online model at all. I am completely for it. In fact, we are building a very robust system for the ordering convenience of our retailers also. We are adapting that technology. So I will allow my retailer to buy from any part of the country sitting in the convenience of his store. He can go and he can pick even 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20 pieces as little as he wants. That's the flexibility we are building into our system. So technology, I am not against. I am completely for it. In fact, it's making life so much easier for our retailers also. They have access. So these models should facilitate and not destroy.
So
value.
to put this in the next level, it's not the online platform which is hurting, but the discounting method which is hitting into the margin.
This online business was a game changer, and the discounting hurt.
Great. And as one more question that I would like to ask is, what are the brands that you love? Like, what do you think are your inspirations?
Oh, inspirations. So, my inspiration per se comes in from actually this one man who was actually transformed not the apparel industry but the way our lives move today is Steve Jobs. I read his book, and I've read that book I think at least twice, and certain things have just become part of my living philosophy as well. And I see certain international brands living that philosophy. To name one, there is a British brand, a very premium British brand by the name of Charles Stirrat. So I was fortunate to visit their store when I had traveled to the US. It's beautiful. I mean, if you look at the way they have synergized their online and their offline offerings, it's a phenomenal shopping experience. So it makes so much business sense. It is, and again, driven by a person who founded the brand. He's still at the driving seat of this entire operation. So that one brand remains as a brand that is like right up there for me, that I emulate. I try to imbibe certain features that are there as part of their culture, their offerings, their product offerings. Try to bring in those into the Cambridge range of products as well. Another brand that I really love in the apparel industry is also an international brand by the name of Banana Republic. Beautiful, clean, and it's actually one brand wherein you love shopping with them online, because they're online stores, and it's actually an inspiration and a motivation to us also is because it's so colorful, so vivid, and it is so dynamic. So there's so much to learn even from their online offerings. So I have Charles Tirrett, wherein I admire their offline offerings, and I have Banana Republic that I admire for their online offerings. So I'm trying to bring in a mix of both of these to create that kind of experience
That
moving
you would
forward
want.
for my customers. And phenomenal brands. They've been around for a very, very, very long time.
Yes.
They stuck to their basics. They stuck to the basics, and they are successful purely for those reasons.
So Prashant, how do you think the men's apparel market has evolved in last 2 decades? Because that is where we see the shift happening much frequently, right? What do you think is the current trends, and what do you think for the future?
When I joined the business way back in, I'm saying 2000, at that point of time, there were very few categories of menswear products. So there was formal wear, there was extended formal wear, which was probably like what we called it was party wear back then, and then there was clear cut distinction of casual wear that was purely geared for the weekend. Now something that was actually, and without sounding sexist, something that was basically the domain of women has become a privilege for men as well now. There's so much change that is coming. So if you want to get literally today, dressing options for men start from the time they wake up in the morning on a Monday till the time they go to sleep on a Sunday night. So there is different a product or a different category of products that a man can actually wear now on all days of the week. So Friday dressing came in. What was Friday dressing? It was just a dressed down version of the formal wear category, and it was probably an upgraded version of the casual wear category. That was the Friday dressing concept. Then we have party wear concept. Then we got hardcore into the ethnic wear concept. Lounge wear, and lounge wear came in like simple things that mom and dad said that night dress when ke soja. That became lounge wear and night wear for men. Like men did not even think about these things. I mean, we have never even heard these things growing up. Now suits are meant for different occasions. Now we have business suits, we have meeting suits, and we have suits for weddings, and we have suits for all occasions. 20 years back there was only casual wear, and now it has become multiplied by 3. So if there were 6 categories, and now it literally is like this corona variant, now there are 3 more variants to each category. From 6 categories we've jumped to 18 categories. It's been a pain to keep up with the pace. Customers come and say party shirt hai, so I mean the most common thing the retailer will try to push him is like an extended formal wear. Nahi, ye wala party wear, nahi, wo wala party wear. Retailer comes back to us that my customer wants party wear. No, party wear is, there's so many connotations to the word party wear. Am I going to a club? Am I going to a wedding function? That's also a party. Am I going to somebody's house party? So, it's literally been painful, I think, for all brands to keep pace with these extended new categories that have come up.
The customer mindset evolving is very fast.
Very fast. And that's actually the trap that a lot of brands, and I'll say this, without any, reservation of admitting that, we also fell prey to the same thing.
Yeah.
We kind of started extending our offerings. We said socks for running are different, socks for playing sports are different, socks to wear to the office are different, socks to wear to the college is different, socks to wear to a wedding is different. We fell prey to the same traps.
So maybe I see in Prashant later on you will have somebody making socks only for the wedding.
Of course.
You're going to look at it, having more retailers having their more niche and finding their calling.
So that's exactly what I said to you some time back, is that everybody will have to go back and we will have to narrow down and focus.
What is your offering?
So there are benefits. And again I say it very honestly that it's not easy. It's not easy for a retailer to see a customer walk out the store because he or she did not get what she wanted. It hurts. It hurts more in these times. But somewhere you have to say no, because the rest of the 9 who walk in don't want to go out dissatisfied because they perceive you as a specialist. They come to you for something. Give them that. Don't try to be a generalist. Become a specialist.
Awesome messages. Very, very important question. What do you see dream? So now you have hooked on to retail, you are spearheading this ship.
Yeah.
There must be a dream that you have, your dream store, your something special that you say that listen, this is what I dream of.
I think for me as a custodian of this brand now in this third generation, what I aspire to be, or rather what I aspire the brand to be, and I use an Indian name which has actually all of us we have grown up with, is Maruti. Today Maruti is an entry level product as well. At the same time, there is a high end version of that product, and today Maruti is exported as well. So my vision is kind of a little different. More than having a store in a particular location or this particular street of the world, I want this something that has been started by my grandfather, in 1960, as out of one store. I want that to reach, or rather to cross geographies, cross boundaries, and penetrate into all possible markets where there are customers who are still looking for value. More than aspiring to open stores in certain streets of the world. New York would be a dream. The streets of New York. I love New York for the energy, for the vibrancy, for the fashion quotient that it offers. So it would be a dream to have a store over there, Cambridge. On one
so
of
the McDonald, right? The McDonald way for Cambridge,
yes.
Having your presence across the world.
Yes, that's something that I aspire to create. Is a product that for everybody. And it's not basically saying that I will do everything for everybody.
Yes.
It is not that, but I will create the same product that a lot more many people will want to own, to wear, because they see value in this. So that is basically my bigger aspiration, my bigger dream, is to take this brand not only to across the country but to other parts of the world. That's an aspiration.
What would you like to be remembered as?
Somebody who did this, who achieved the feat of taking a brand that a family-run brand, and made it into an international brand. I'd like to be remembered that.
I wish you all the best, Prashant.
Thank you so much.
So thank you, Prashant. Is there some message that you want to share with other retailers in the country who are about to throw their hat or towel and say, okay, this is it. Retail is too difficult. Retail is, you're going to be consumed by online. What do we do? Any message?
I think I'm too young actually, I would say, to pass on this message, because my journey into this industry is only 21 years, and I'm sure there are veterans out there who have been frustrated now, sheerly because of the onslaught. One is of the online industry that is actually coming, plus whatever frustration all of us in businesses have faced in this last 1 year. So I can't really lend too much of advice to them. It's this, I think, the simple business philosophies that I think we kind of worked with in the last 1 year to survive, to stay afloat, are that we stuck to the basics. And this is going back to somebody like Steve Jobs. He says the beauty of Steve Jobs or Apple as an industry is also in saying no to certain things.
Yes.
So problem is that we, in our drive to serve our customers, say the customer comes and asks, do you have this? Oh, I don't. And I go back to my brand head and say, you know what, the customer is demanding this, let me bring in this for him, let me bring in that for him. So we tend to add too much, and then we become literally jacks of all trade, masters of none. But in this last 1 year, we realized that we shed that excess baggage.
Okay.
We actually went back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
We started calculating that things that were giving us business were only that your 80-20 rule, that 20% of your products were giving you 80% of the business. So why did we carry that excess 80? Let's stick to the basics. Monies and resources are very limited right now. So I think the biggest learning for us came in this period that has come, is that we can't be everything to everybody. We can be only something to some people, and let's be the best versions of that in that particular category to those people that matter. There are others in the industry to take care of the other requirements. You can't fulfill everybody's requirement. Otherwise, there would be only one brand in the world giving all the customers everything. There would be no competition. It would be only one brand serving everybody. So the message is just absolutely clear. Focus on what you do best, nothing more. And I think collectively we will all get through this phase. if we have the basics in place.
I wish you all the best, Prashant.
Thank you so much, Niyati.
Yeah, you've been an inspiration for all the viewers. And I would say the key learning here is to understand what you are good at and what you offer and what's the best thing for your customer. At Desi Retail, our endeavor is to encourage retailers who've been in business for so long and share their successes and journey with everyone else to be inspired. You have to know your why. You have to know why you get up and do this difficult but so challenging and satisfying retail business, because you believe in your product and you believe that you're going to make a difference to the customer's life. Thank you for watching Desi Retail. If you enjoyed the episode, do like, subscribe and share, and we would love to hear from you. Meanwhile, stay inspired and enjoy retail therapy.